Hello, Revere, and welcome to the Revere Veterans and Community Show. Today we have a special show and a very important show for the people of Revere, and it concerns the slot machines. I would like to introduce my special guest here, His Honor Mayor Brian Arrigo. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you for having me, Morris.
Councilor from Ward 5, John Powers.
Thank you for
coming. And on his left, former mayor and councilor at large, Bob Hass.
Thank you, Morris.
Before we start, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is allowing on a vote to put an additional 1,250 slots. You were there at the meeting. Why don't you start it off?
Sure. So, as Morris mentioned, we have a ballot question coming up November 8th regarding
October 18th.
Well, so we got two, right?
Well, two, right.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So the first one is the statewide election, which you're referencing, the ballot one, question one, which is on November 8th. But before that, and I think more importantly for the community, we have an election on October 18th, and we're going to be voting on this slot proposal.
That's just for Revere, Mr. Mayor?
It's just for Revere, and so we, as many folks know, we have a coalition of leadership in the city, including our state delegation. In fact, even the governor has said that he's not going to be voting for the slot question. But locally, and I think more importantly, our elected officials have stood up and said this is not setting the high standard that we want for our city. And so I'm pleased to be joined today with our city council friends, former Mayor Bob Hass and Ward 5 City Councilor John Powers, and it's really been important, I think, for everyone to realize that we are kind of standing up and saying this doesn't meet our standards. The people who are pushing for this are spending a lot of money. We don't know where that money is coming from. From what I can tell, it's coming from a company in Delaware,
right.
that nobody knows what they do. Even the proponents, the people who are using the money, don't even know what this company does, and they've said that on the record. So we want to, when we talk about people who want to invest in the city, we oftentimes hear people brag about what they've done, and they come and say, we've created all these jobs, we've built these beautiful buildings. These people have none of that track record. And actually the people that they've brought in to bring legitimacy, Navigante, which is a casino operator, they've been in their own trouble. And in New York State, they got hung up in a little scandal, and the Inspector General in New York actually even said that they were unfit to run a casino. So the people who are supposedly bringing legitimacy to this proposal have been found unfit. So at every step, it's been clear that this is not something that the city wants and not something that will be good for the city. So.
Right. Now, Mr. Powers, Councilor Powers.
Yes, Morris.
You attended a meeting with them also.
I certainly did. Yes.
Let us know what the results were.
Well, let's go right from the start. They contacted myself and asked me if I would meet with them regarding hotel development at that site. As everyone knows, I'm 100% in favor of hotel development because I really feel that it's a great economic engine for the city. I'll give you an example. The Comfort Inn, real estate taxes over $360,000. Other taxes, 0.75 on the meals tax, 6% on the room excise tax, the occupancy tax. Gives us total over $1 million, provides jobs for people. I have people that live in the area that I represent that work at the Comfort Inn doing different jobs. So to me, that's a plus, 100%. Here, we've got a casino under construction right now in the city of Everett, 3 miles away. I can't possibly imagine any individual going to a slot parlor where that's all that's going to be is slot machines. And
that's it?
That's it. There's nothing else down there. They're talking about a couple of hotels, and that's what I told them I would be interested in, hotels. Slot machines, first of all, there's no license available in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts right now. If Governor Well walked into City Hall with the entire legislative delegation and said, listen, we want to put a slot parlor in next week or something like that, couldn't do it. There's no license available. So the bottom line is that they're looking to circumvent the law, as far as I'm concerned, by this vote on the 18th. And I told them so at a city council meeting. I said, listen, you're going about this the wrong way. If you're sincere in your efforts, that's your right to do that, but do it the right way. Don't hang the city up for $50,000 or $70,000 in a special election on the 18th. One hand, they tell you, we're going to bring $3 to $5 million into the city. Going to benefit the city, schools, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, and the other hand, you're taking $50,000 to $70,000 out of our pocket before anything even got started. So I think they're very disingenuous. I think the right way to do this, if they were concerned, would have been to see how the statewide vote goes, then ask for a special election, which they have every right to do in the city of Revere. The mayor would have to sign a host community agreement, which I understand he is not willing to do.
He's right here. He can
He's-
speak.
And the gaming commission would have to scrutinize these individuals completely and before any license was issued, okay? We have a lot of good things going on in the city right now. We have a brand new hotel that'll be going in the ground in April, thanks to the efforts of
Is that a
Mayor-
short?
That's a short site, thanks to the efforts of Mayor Arrigo and his development team and the city council. So there's good things going on in the city, and there are other good things. We've got Wonderland we want to develop. That's going to be a tremendous 38-acre parcel down there. We've got the area over at Suffolk Downs we're looking to develop. We are on the verge of greatness in this city right now just because of our proximity to the airport and the city of Boston. So that's what I'm looking for, not a slot parlor. Thank you, Morris.
Right. Now I'd like to get over to former Mayor Bob Hass. How do you were there at the meeting when he
Yes.
had it in front of City Hall.
Exactly. Matter of fact, we've met with Mr. McCain about 3 different times, right? And in the beginning of the discussions, it was always he's going to build 2 hotels. So naturally, we liked the idea, the concept of hotels. Then all of a sudden, the last meeting we had with Mr. McCain, he decided, oh, I'm looking at slot machines. And at that point in time, I think we basically said, no, we want the hotels, period. So then he kept on pursuing the issue. And again, as John, the mayor, indicated, there's nothing before us right now, except that on the 18th, he's asking us, forcing us to have a vote on it, okay? And the problem with that is, on the 18th, who's going to come out for a special election? Not many people. And I think we have to make sure that people understand the pros and cons of a slot parlor in Revere. All right? And I think for myself, I'm against it without question. But the issue is, I think both sides should be heard. And if you look at the local papers, he had 3 full-page ads out in the Revere Journal this week. Excuse me. That's a lot of money he's spending before the vote. Okay, he's going to get his message out, and he talks about, the committee is for schools and all that. No one from the school department has heard from Mr. McCain. He has not spoken to anyone. So that's the fallacy. He's using school as a common denominator for the program he's pushing. There's not one elected official in Revere that I know of that is for this. State representatives and our Senate are 100% against it. And again, there's not many people in elective capacity in Revere that would vote for this without question. And I think it's deceiving the way he presented this whole thing. He forced the issue by having a special election. Should have waited to after the November election,
Right.
when everyone's going to come out and vote for the president and vice president. Okay, there's more issues, school choice, etc. And this is one of the issues. But again, we are looking at the 18th. We have to mobilize our force and make sure that we collectively get our message out. No on this issue, without question.
Right. I want to get back to the mayor.
Yep.
We're talking about the slot machine parlor to be built. Is that off Winthrop Avenue where the trailer park is?
It's so the site that they're talking about is along 1A and off of Winthrop Parkway.
Winthrop Parkway, excuse me.
Yeah, so it's the trailer park site, which we've identified, as an area that can be developed, and as Councilor Powers and Councilor Has both mentioned, hotel development would be fantastic in that
Right.
spot. Along 1A, the airport corridor, that makes sense. Slot parlor and a proposal that really has no kind of details and no details about traffic impact, about infrastructure impact, about what to do in that neighborhood. There are people that live at that trailer park now. They will be displaced. What's the plan for those people?
That's what I was gonna ask you.
None of those details have been talked about, and so that is part of the reason, a big reason why I've taken the stand of saying this is not the right development. These aren't the right people, because it's clear that they're not interested in those details. They are moving forward, spending money that, like I said, we don't know where it's coming from, and they're pushing a lot of half truths. I'd say at a minimum half truths, and so it's important for people to know. And I've been making phone calls, telling people that I'm opposed to it, letting them know that there's a special election on October 18th. That is really important because, as Councilor has mentioned, not a lot of people are going to get out to vote, and we want to make sure that we send a message that this is not acceptable for a community that is on the verge of greatness.
That's why every person that can vote in the city of Revere should really vote against it. But I have this question for you. The people that live in a trailer park are going to be displaced, like you just said. What happens if they have a lease there? If they signed a lease, let's say for 5 years, 10 years,
Right.
what happens to those? You just can't.
Right. So that's one thing that they haven't talked about. They have no plan for what to do with those folks. So, and that's an important piece of this.
Naturally.
And again, what's the traffic impact? What's the impact on our water and sewer infrastructure and our roadway infrastructure? What plan do they have to actually mitigate these issues? They have none. There is no plan, and there's no interest in putting forward any kind of proposal that would include a plan. What they're interested in is pushing this misinformation about $5 million a year coming into the city.
I was going to get to that, but you do.
Yeah, no, and so if we were to look at the numbers that they're talking about, first of all, the numbers that they're talking about are solely based on Plain Ridge, which they've done no market research. There's no information that they've shown to say this is what we figure will come into the city. They've just taken a cookie cutter plan from Plain Ridge and said this is what it'll look like in Revere. And I don't know about these. I think I know about these gentlemen, but that certainly doesn't pass my my test in terms of allowing cookie cutter type of development that really doesn't take the interest of the city into account.
On Bell Circle, I believe, is there still a slot machine place there?
There is not.
There's none in the city of Revere at all now.
Not that I know of.
Oh, and if there were there, that would be illegal?
They would be illegal, right? Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's good to keep them OUT then.
It is, and there's an element that we want to make sure that we are careful to keep out of the city. There's a crime element. There's,
Exactly, and that means more
there-
police.
Right, more police, more fire,
Right.
more medical calls. There's a significant impact on anything. And if folks remember, there's a process, right? So part of what I try to remind people of is when we had Mohegan Sun and the Suffolk Downs full resort casino proposal before us, we had a lot of meetings. We had community meetings. They were talking about the details of what the traffic impact would be and what they were going to do to make sure that the police and fire and the school department were all invested in. We have none of that. There have been none of those conversations, and the process has really been kind of backwards. And so it's important for people to remember that the three of us stand here. We've been supportive of gaming, and so this isn't an issue about being pro or anti-gaming or pro or anti-casinos. It's about being for good ideas and against bad ones. And this is a bad idea. It has no details, and it's pretty clear.
I watched your TV program, on the internet, that you did the program in front of City Hall where
Right.
you had Rosalie Vincent, Carol Ty, Patrick. Carol Ty from the school committee is strictly against.
I don't think Patrick was there, but
I could
but
be
Jo-
wrong.
Senator
Patrick-
Boncory was there.
Joe Buckley, right.
Right.
But Carol Ty was against it. Joe Buckley was against it. What harm would it do? Because if it went in, let's say, the kids at the school might not be going to school every day. Some of them, they might wind up at that little slot machine.
Right.
So that would be a good reason to keep it out, just based on that.
Just based on that, exactly. And I think the councilors certainly have some probably more talking to
Input?
do about more input. I don't want. I feel like I'm hogging up the time. So
No,
I
no.
appreciate it.
Any one of you want to talk about that?
First of all, I want to make it clear. I supported the casino at Suffolk Downs.
We all did.
$30 million coming into the city, great thing. I went to a couple of legislative affairs committee when casino gambling was proposed in the Commonwealth, and I also attended gaming commission meetings and spoke out on the casino. This is not that, as Mayor Arrigo just said. This is something else. We actually don't know what it is, except 1,200 slot machines coming into an area that's serviced by the Blue Line, so we could have every criminal element in the city of Boston coming into Revere. We don't want that. I go down to New York occasionally. I don't stay in Midtown Manhattan because it's too expensive. I stay in New Jersey, 2 miles outside the Lincoln Tunnel. This is the perfect site for a couple of hotels, some mid-range restaurants like an Olive Garden or a Texas Roadhouse or something like that, to service people that are coming here for a short period of time, that want to visit someone at a hospital, that want to visit a relative in college. There's just small businessmen coming here. They can't afford those rates. We right now in Revere are so fortunate to have the properties we have, and we're very fortunate to have a development team right now that is going out there and looking into developing these properties. It's just a great thing.
Right. Talking about development, I know this has nothing to do with the slots. The dog track where it used to be.
Right.
Is that looking for any development in the future?
Yes, we've been in a lot of communication with ownership about the dog track, and more about the dog track than Suffolk Downs. And while it's the same kind of players
Right.
who are involved, and what I think is important about this proposal and why we want to say no on October 18th and why we want to say no on November 8th is that we want to send the signal that we have an opportunity for real economic development. We have an opportunity to create jobs. We have an opportunity to build up an economy in the city. We have these parcels of land, 35 acres at Wonderland, over 100 acres at Suffolk Downs. We can build an economy in the city, but we can't have low standards, and we can't let fly-by-night developers come in like this one with the slot parlor and gain any traction. We have to send a signal that we want the highest and best use for every property, and a slot parlor at the trailer park is not the highest and best use for
How
that
many
property.
acres are there, by the way, at the trailer park?
Approximately 4 or 5?
4 or 5.
Between 4 and 5.
Yeah, because the Commonwealth says you got to have a minimum, I believe, of 4 acres.
The way that the ballot question was written was tailored solely for this one site. So
Who wrote the ballot question?
The proponents wrote it. The proponents,
Eugene McCain?
the people who are proponents of this question are the ones that wrote it.
The ones that put the ad in the paper?
They're the one that put it on the ballot. So they tailor-made this question for one site, and so that one site is next to Suffolk Downs. And the way that they got around that is they said that there's potential for Brockton Fairgrounds to turn into a horse racing facility, and
Exactly.
there is other space around that would fit into this into this question. But the fact is, no other developer is looking at this. No other people are proponents of this question, aside from the small group of fly-by-night people who have come in, dropped in, some from Bangor, Maine, who have decided what they think is best for the city of Revere. And I'm here to stand up and say, we're not going to accept that. And we're better than that. and I have high standards. I ran for mayor because I have high standards for the city, and we're going to see those high standards met. We're not going to let people come in from out of town, especially city councilors from other states, telling us what's best for our city.
Now, the people that are against it, I know Councilor, former Mayor Haas, Councilor from the Ward 5, and you, excuse me. How about the other councilors like McKenna and Abdu?
So we've built a coalition of folks who are against this. You know, it includes myself, the folks here at the table. It includes, and I'm going to name them off the top of my head
Go right ahead.
if I can remember. With Ward 1 City Councilor Joy McKenna has said that she's opposed to this, and
Right.
she's been on record. Ward 2 City Councilor Ira Novoselsky has said that he's opposed to this and on the record. Ward 3 City Councilor Arthur Guanasso has said that he's opposed to this. Our Ward 5 councilor obviously is sitting here, and our at-large councilors, Stephen Morabito.
Charlie Patch?
Charlie Patch has not said publicly that he's against it. There are some councilors that have said that they're neither. They haven't
made up their
taken,
mind?
They haven't taken an official stance, I guess.
Right.
I'll say. We've tried to make sure that people know that, we need to take the lead on this. I need to take the lead on this, and I need to say this is not good for the community. If people want to kind of let people know publicly that they're against it, that's great. And we've asked several times. We've asked city councilors to let us know if they want to be vocally opposed to it, and so we have the coalition of people that have said that they're against it, and it includes, like I said, Councilor Giannino, Councilor Morabito, Councilor Haas, and I think that's it on the city council side.
Yes, right.
And then on the school committee, the entire school committee has come out against this. So school committee members Ferranti, McGuire, Gravelisi, Carol Ty, as you mentioned, Stacy Rizzo, Fred Sinella, they've all said that this is not the right thing for the city.
Right. That's why the city should vote no, because Eugene McCain's group could use the city to push the election for November the 8th.
Exactly.
So it's important
Exactly.
that the city says no. If we do vote yes, they will turn around and say, look, Revere wants it, the rest of the Commonwealth should vote for it.
Exactly.
So we're the ones that can set the example. Folks, if you're listening to these people, why you shouldn't vote for it, they're the best ones to explain it to you.
Thank you. And that's a
Exactly.
great point, Morris, and that's what some people don't realize is that October 18th vote, what I'm concerned about is that they turn around and use that as a rallying cry
Exactly.
for November 8th, and they say, look, the city of Revere wants this, and they're going to tell the people who live in Brookline, if they live in North Adams, I mean, they could
Or
live on
Northampton.
they can live on the border of New York, and they can say, hey, vote for this because the city of Revere wants it. And we want to make sure that people know that the city of Revere doesn't want it. It doesn't meet our standards.
Right, now we got about 4 minutes left, which is perfect.
Yep.
Start off,
All right.
taking a couple of minutes and then each a minute.
30 seconds to a minute.
No,
I-
just leave me 20 seconds.
All right, sounds good. Again, I can't stress enough that this issue isn't about being pro or anti-gaming or pro or anti-casinos. It's about being for good ideas and against bad ones. And this slot parlor proposal is lacking detail. It doesn't have any real information about what the potential impacts are, and there's no track record of the individuals that we're dealing with here. So I implore the residents of Revere to get out, make sure that they let their voice be heard, that October 18th we can say this slot parlor proposal is not to the standards that we want and that we expect developers to rise to. Thank you. Thank you, Morris.
No, he said it. Go ahead, John.
Yes, this vote on October 18th,
Right.
it's not about Brian Arrigo, John Powers, Bob Hass, or any other city councilors. And it's interesting to note that many times we have spirited disagreements on certain issues coming before the city. So the bottom line here is that almost every city official, in fact, I haven't heard one city official that said they want this,
Right.
okay? For the most part, everybody's against it. So whether you agree with our politics or someone else's politics, you have to really look at this and you have to get out and vote, because this is a bad, bad idea for the city of Revere. It has the potential to bring crime here. It has the potential to bring traffic here. It has the potential to bring a lot of undesirables into this city. You have a brand new facility going up in Everett, and I'm sorry it's not going up at Suffolk Downs.
So
Believe me
are
when
we.
I tell you.
Yeah.
Because the impact that Revere is going to receive from the project in Everett is the same as it would have received if it went to Revere. Traffic coming from the North Shore. Okay? It's gonna,
John, I'd just like to correct you on one thing, if I may. You said it has a potential to bring in crime.
Yeah.
It will bring in
bring-
crime.
You're
It does not
100%
have a potential.
absolutely,
Because take
absolutely,
Atlantic City.
right.
That's the best example I could give you.
I'm trying to be polite.
I know that, but I'm trying to be honest.
Right.
So whether you agree with any of the individuals sitting at this table, or you agree with any of the other elected officials, keep in the back of your mind that for the most part, everyone is against this. It's not a good thing for Revere, and I hope the people on October 18th will make it a point to go out and vote no, because these individuals that are proposing this casino
Right,
are
thank
working
you,
very
John. I
diligently
gotta
out there.
give-
Go ahead, give Brian.
I gotta take as much time as you need.
I was for the casino without question. Okay, it went to Everett. That's yesterday's news. This casino, by almost every elected official from the governor down, is against it. I think that speaks volumes because of our political disagreements along the way. We all agree it does not belong in Revere. And one example, down in Louisiana, they put a gaming facility on a Quonset hut. There's been nothing but fights and arguments all along. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Morris. Thank you once again for allowing us.
I want to thank each and
Right.
every one of you
Thank
for
you,
coming
Morris.
out.
Thank
Mayor
you.
Brian, thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you.
Councilor from
Thank you
Ward 5,
for
thank
having
you.
us. Yeah.
Former mayor and councilor at large, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you all,
Yeah.
and thank you for coming.
Thank
God
you.
bless our troops, our military serving,
Right.
and who have served. But most of all, God bless the United States of America. And I always close, keep the pledge in the school. Never take the pledge out,
Right.
please.
Right.
That's what we fought for. I'm a World War II veteran. The Koreans, the Vietnamese, the Gulf Wars, the Afghans, the Iraqis, they all want the pledge in the school. Keep it there. But most of all, no on October the 18th.